As you can tell, a little flustered, a little bit behind the... Let me just do this. Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, that's better. Don't know whether you can see me. My eyesight's shot. Right, lovely. Welcome, wrong, welcome to Theatre of the Mind live number 92. Thank you. And hopefully, let me just do a couple of clicks. That one. Come on. Right. A couple of minutes of mayhem got me to hopefully the printer's working. I now have my hibiscus. Lovely. Pop-eyed Wazza, evening, wrong. Let me get to some of the bits and pieces, and then we'll get on to the running order, and then I'll tell you what we're going to talk about this evening. We've got some lightness, a couple of gags and funnies and stuff, but also there's some very, very, very important insight for you and your family and your community, because I've just been watching for the last 7 or 8 days. I've just been watching what's going on in the world. And the propaganda that the peddlers forcing down our throat is not even funny. So I would like you to tap away, comment as much as you can this evening. I would love to know your opinions. We have some questions, some polls, results of polls that we can... what's that? Hang on. Oh. So, where's my glasses? I may need these this evening, primarily because my screen feels miles away, so I can't really see it. Oh, looking intelligent. What? Oh, the Reverend. How the devil are you? Yes, we're over 100 viewers this evening, so thank you very much. If you could smash the likes on the way in, that would be much appreciated. Firstly, Andy Turner says, hello, ladies and gentlemen, spoons only. Oh, I say, what are we up to this evening, Andy? 148 days till Christmas. Are we ready? You bet your sweet bippy, Andy. I'm born ready. Andrew James says, I've eaten a slab of Battenberg today. Oh, you tart. So today's hymn is me sitting in the front and popping away to a medley of Dexy's Midnight Runners. If you do need to run and avail yourself of the facilities, Andrew, I do appreciate it and do understand. Can I see it from here? Oh, I say. Let me just do something which may end up with everything going completely awry, and I just need to bring that there. That and that. Come along, darling. Right, I should be able to see you with these on, and the only reason I'm wearing them is because, have you noticed? Oh, look, my eyes look like lights. Have you noticed how all the politicians are wearing glasses? All of them. Starmer, Little Jockey, Rich Boy. Who else? There's only Farage that's not wearing any glasses, and I do presume it's to make one look a little more intelligent. In my case, that's absolutely not going to happen. It's Roy Gordon. Evening, everyone, and His Eminence. Oh, Roy. Thank you very much. Hope you're all fine and dandy. I believe we may have a packed congregation tonight. So budge up, squeeze up at the back, and no funny stuff. You know, it's not the cinema. No, none of this, should we have a seat in the back of the cinema? And I normally find taking... no, I shan't even do that gag. That's definitely for late night. Don't forget that we are going to try and do something on July 4th in the evening. I think we're going to start it at about 10 o'clock. So I do hope that everyone can make it. It'll be a Thursday evening. Excuse me. I haven't been very well for the last few days. So, cough's back. So on the 4th of July, once the polls close at 10 o'clock, we're going to go live. And I will bring all my insight and seemingly professionalism to it all. We haven't worked out what the detail is, but, you know, that's the strategy. Andy Turner says, Roy Gordon, I'll leave all the funny stuff to Tell Block Tracy. Ooh, I say. Tarblock Tracy. Is she in the body of the Kirk this evening? Welcome everyone to the body of the Kirk. As always, we allow people to get there, everyone, all of the congregation, to get their feet under the table. And my brain is working faster than my mouth tonight. So I've seen something. My brain was going, oh, say that and say that and say that. And my gob hadn't caught up. So, Rusty Mouse, right, said it. I'm too sexy for... Oh, I say, Rusty Mouse, I'm too sexy for my cassock. We then await for your appearance. Don't disappoint us. Would I ever, Rusty Mouse? I'm not tonight. Amalia Grassi, remembered. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Amalia. And Andy Turner, they've started showing Christmas chick flicks on one of the movie channels. Talk about confused. Have they really? Cool, blimey, where are we? June? No, that's just unacceptable. I mean, is there not sort of Christmas channels that you can watch all year? Because, like Disney, they have New Year's Eve every night of the year. Oh, that is most acceptable. And Amalia Grassi also says, hope there's aircon in here. I don't take kindly to anything over 20 degrees these days. Me too. I'm prone to hot flushes in June and July, seeing as are we going to get up to 28 degrees tomorrow or something silly? 24 today. I've got the window open. Yeah, thank you. No aircon unless someone's had beans today. So slightly, I'm not sure we can get a draft going of any kind. But churches are supposed to be cooler because of the stone retaining the heat, you see. Andy Sinsky, you see. God blimey, I sound like Jimmy Savile. Andy Sinsky, sorry, Adrian and the gang, I'm working a 12-hour night shift tonight. You slagger, Andy Sinsky. You can catch this on Catch Up. I will catch up when I drag my sorry butt out of bed tomorrow. Have a great show and enjoy the Battenberg. Thank you very much, young Andy. I do appreciate that. Stuart says, evening, Adrian. Taylor Swift is here in Dublin. Oh, Stuart, you know, I thought you were a lovely bloke until he said that. In Dublin next week. And Aer Lingus have gone on strike, and fans travelling abroad risk missing her show. Love to hear what you think about it. Oh, just miss it. It's shite, said a spokesperson. I mean, well, I am going to... see, I don't want to talk about Swiftie every single live that I do. But I want to tonight because somebody's been dad dancing, and dad dancing's unacceptable on any level. Rexanne says the Choir Boys will be singing a remix of "Keep On Moving." Oh, by Soul, dedicated to all the MPs, etc., who betted on the date of the election. Oh, they've all been at it. Excuse me. They've all been at it. What can I say? And they've all been found out because the betting commission, because you see, the bookies and the betting commission don't like anybody making any money other than them. So if anybody makes a few bob, oh, it's called insider dealing. No, insider knowledge. No, you can't have that. Look, try getting winners on the GGs or in a casino. It's all rigged, man. Rigged. Caribou UK says, oh, evening all you wrong-uns. Thought I would be early tonight. I've got the wine if anybody would like some. Yeah, pass it around, Karen. I think I need some. Definitely more than this bloody hibiscus. Stop the ye old cough going. If anybody's got any cough mixture. I think the Battenberg might work. Tower Block Tracy's in the body of the Kirk. Please rise for the not-so-reverend, the head on show of the Church of the Misfits and the not-so-royal Prince of Battenberg. Oh, I say, what an introduction, Tower Block Tracy. I've got to see you in the body of the Kirk. Louise Hampson, evening all, ya wrong-uns. And Rusty Mouse said, do we all ooh together? I don't know what you're up to, Rusty Mouse, but it sounds fun. Vivian Kenyon says, oh, Sunday night sermon, can't wait. Beer, Battenberg, and banter. Bring it on, Rev. Viv and Darlow. Good to see that you're in on the live tonight, Viv. And Tablock Tracy. Hello, Viv. Tablock Tracy and Andy Turner. Hello. And GB Patriots in the body of the Kirk. He has Battenberg and Alter Wine at the ready. You utter wrong and GB Patriot. Somebody thinks you're past 49. Said on one of the comments the other day. that the team said, yeah, Adrian, have a look at that. Tablock Tracy. Tracy, you okay, hun? Eh? Oh, sorry. Didn't put the space in the right place. Millie. Good evening, brethren and sisterin. May the Battenberg cleanse your souls and bring a nice sweet smell to the body of the kirk, if you know what I'm saying. Rich, I'm not getting notifications. Is this a secret meeting of the Knights Battenberg tonight? Oh, Rich, you are welcome. We'll have an arch of steel at the door so everyone can come in. I'm not sure about password. Wrong one. GB Patriot says, yes, I'm okay. TBT, Mum's still in isolation till Tuesday. Sorry to hear that, GB Patriot, but glad to hear that you're doing okay. And Mum has been looked after by the right people. Whizbits been away. You see, when I print it out, it doesn't put a space in between some of the words. Whizbits, just for you. I've been away, but now I'm back. What's the gossip? The gossip is, I've just popped your cherry. Again, at your age. Karina Jane, evening all. Hope you're enjoying the beautiful sunshine. I do have some fans, some USB fans that I may have to put on this evening just to, me hot flush and me hibiscus, me hot flush. And I'll get what people tell me when they're taking stuff out of the oven. They bend down and the heat makes your glasses all steamy. Brian, thank you very much. You become a legendary Battenberger on Wednesday. But I do appreciate it. Thank you, young sir. Viv Kenyon. Oh, TBT. Hello. And Tablock Tracy says, GB Patriot, love and light to your sexy bum. Yeah, utter wrong. And Lauren Taylor, evening all. Evening, Lauren. Hang on a second. I'm taking these off there. I can't see a thing with them on. Actually, I can see the computer screen, but with them off. Penny Hen. Hello, Penny Hen. Tablock Tracy. Oh, Penny Hen. Oh, blimey. She's obviously been on the altar wine already as a young Tablock Tracy this evening. We're getting up to 150 congregation this evening, which is lovely. Don't forget to smash the likes. Yeah, wrong'uns. GB Patriot says, Tablock Tracy, is that my sexy bum or me mum? Lesbian fingers. The Bovril. Do you know, I quoted your name yesterday to someone. Or did I have a dream about you? Not sure, but I said that the great name, the Bovril. I think I had one of those this afternoon as well. Just dropping the kids off. Evening all. Has the bish shown up yet? Oh, here, man. The Bovril, stop bashing the bishop. I haven't ascended to those lofty heights yet. Amalia Grassi, are we there yet? Now it's happening. Amalia, I had things to print off and the printer only goes so fast. Wrongin'. Viv Kenyon, only a minute to go yet. And God, all these. Super Ted. Evening, everyone, from sunny Redke. Oh, the beacon. Broadcast from the mighty tower of power that is Redke Beacon on Zetland FM every Saturday, 5 through 8. You've not said that before, have you, Adrian? Rich, blimey, Amalia. Amalia's on time tonight. Right, you're all just chatting amongst yourself. Reply. Nikki Watson. Evening all. Evening, Nikki. Welcome to the body of the kirk. Good to see you around. Rich, somebody help the Reverend. He's fell in the font again. Yeah, there was no bloody wine in the font. I'm disgusted. I mean, call yourself a congregation. I will tell you that even though it's an England match on Tuesday, I understand we have a cultural exchange from Germany coming into the body of the kirk on Wednesday. So the sermon may have to be, a little more multilingual. I can speak Macam, English, a little German, little French. So before you say anything, I'm not bilingual. In the field, evening, folks. Evening, yeah, wrongin'. Tom Harnish. Sorry, Tom, is that how you pronounce your second name? I do apologise. Hi, everyone. How's things? Brilliant, Tom. I think you might be a first in. If not, there's an extra cherry pop for you. Hang on. Aid has his finger and cheek ready for the popping. You bet your sweet baby. Nothing better than a good. Simon John Lavender. Evening, Adrian. Evening, Simon John. Love to have you in the body of the Kirk. And finally, Sandra. What is it? Witham, Sandra, or Wytham? Because you're Yorkshire, so it could be a Wytham, not a Witham. We are multitasking again. Scotland game and you. Oh, I say, Sandra. What? Oh. So tonight on live number 92. So the running order will include. Are you following this this story? The Jay Slater story. Let's talk about that. There's been some updates today. We'll talk about the Royals and their uses, because I'm telling you, I absolutely nailed what's going on. They think we're thick, but in my humble opinion, I've absolutely nailed what's going on. With the Catherine AI and the video and stuff. I'm going to do a video about it this week because I think it's utterly disgusting. So we'll talk about that, the Royals. We'll talk about what you're going to get from the new government. Hammered, I think, is the term. We'll talk about some of these political shenanigans. Oh, I say, politics. Who would go into politics? Well, somebody with a thick skin, because certain politicians are getting it this week. I don't mean getting it. I mean getting it. And also, I'm going to give you some... are you old enough to... at the dinner table before I started this live, I was asking members of the family, and I said, do you know the Carry On films? No. And I was thinking, do you know, there is an age below which, say about 35-ish, and even then, some 35, some 30-somethings might not even know about the Carry On movies and the Carry On actors like, I don't know, Sid James or Kenneth Williams. Kenneth Williams is such a big name that he's that well known. He doesn't have to be associated with the Carry On films to be known. But I'm going to play a game tonight with the Carry Ons. But I will make the announcement later. But I'm looking for, in the comments, right on the bounce, I'm looking for either your favourite Carry On film or your favourite Carry On quote. Now I'll start, because everybody knows infamy. They've all got it, infamy. Everybody knows that. That's from Carry On. So what would be your favourite Carry On quote? And what would be your favourite Carry On film? You can mention both, and we'll keep that going through the whole of the live this evening. As I say, we have something to discuss around Carry On films, so we'll do that this evening. And also, have you seen these coppers and using drones for... Well, it's straight out of Black Mirror. It's almost as if Black Mirror is predicting the future. Carry On, Constable, Rich. Ooh, Mrs. Watch out with that truncheon. Tablock Tracy. They were into sailors. Thank God Retro's not here. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, but that is... wow. According to the BBC's just come in, at least 1,300 people have died at the Hajj in Saudi Arabia. Mostly unauthorised pilgrims. 1,300. That's nearly half a 9/11. And also, have you heard about the Hawk Tour girl in America? I mean, it's literally an internet sensation of its own. The Hawk Tour girl from, is it Tennessee? Memphis? But it's. I want to talk about it because I think it's wonderful. I think it's... For all the kids nowadays, and I say that as a grown ass man, there's nobody's got a sense of humour anymore. We can't. That's why I wanted to bring the Carry On stuff to the live tonight. We don't have a sense of humour. Seemingly, we've lost it. Now, about 5 minutes before I was about to start this live, there was some idiot outside decided to sit there and rev his motorcycle. Obviously, it's called Justin. man with a small penis. So I literally was thinking, if he just sits there revving that, I'm gonna have to go out and go, oi, you're wrong, and turn that off before I stick your motorcycle up your derriere. Johnson Battenberg, by the way. But bizarrely, at 7:59, he rode off into the sunset. He must have read my mind, or didn't like Battenberg, one of the two. So welcome to live number 92. The next live 93. Obvs, doesn't take Einstein, is going to be this Wednesday, 26th of June, the day after the England match. And we're going to talk about the England players. I mean, they couldn't have mucked this up more if they tried. Nobody knows how to play football in the England side, seemingly. We'll talk about that soon. And I'm going to ask you a question. So I want your favourite carry-on movies and your favourite carry-on quotes. I've given you mine, infamy. They've all got it, infamy. Which is just... that has a life of its own now. I don't even know whether you can have the hot baseball caps or T-shirts. But... and the reason why I want to talk about the hot tour girl is... and you probably don't know what I'm talking about. Because I spend so much time sort of researching bits and pieces I do for these lives, that you come across some very, very unusual things. Carry on, cabby. Where's Mr. Screwer? He's gone for a pee. So I want to ask you a question. And I know you're a bit worried that my fizzog is like... I think about 30% of the people that watch this channel watch it on their telly. So I'm like, right, I'll back off so you don't get my ugly fizzog right on your telly screen. Mind you, if you put the telly on the mantelpiece, it'll keep the kids away from the fire. And the dogs, seemingly, if I can whistle high enough. So I want to ask you a question, because there's lots going on. And now that we've got plenty of people in the body of the Kirk tonight, I can ask you the questions, because we are trying to do some special things coming up very, very soon. Like I say, July 4th, we'll do something live in the evening. I've, in my radio days, I have done some bits and pieces, but 3 hours talking about that kind of guff is, I'm going to need your support. I might need intravenous hibiscus and lots of Battenberg, but I think what we'll do is we'll go till after midnight, because normally Sunderland or Newcastle declare the first result around about midnight. We may go to 1 o'clock in the morning. We'll try and organise something so I've got lots of information coming in, and we can do it so that you either get absolutely squiffy on the alcohol and Battenberg whilst I'm not going to be pipe out. Not me, obviously. I'm going to be sober as a judge most of the evening, but we'll try and do that on July 4th, which is not, it's not that far away. In fact, it's less than 2 weeks away. So that's what we're going to try and do. But I want to know something from you, and I want to appreciate your honest opinion and ideas. But what would you like Theatre of the Mind? That's this channel, before you ask. Yeah, wrong. What would you like Theatre of the Mind to do? Or interview? Or are you happy to be surprised? I'm not going to tell you anything more. You have to be subscribed to the channel. You have to pay attention, because we've got stuff. Alive in the Buff. Tower Block Tracy. Be my guest. Although that doesn't quite work, does it? We haven't got a camera on you. Josh Ward, I'm happy to be surprised. I'd heard that about you, Josh. Two. Popeye Wazza, 1. What did I say? Hang on, what would you like the reminder to do? Interview, or are you happy to be surprised? Interview, okay. We have some ideas, but it seems that people are rather precious, and they don't. I mean, we're heading towards 10,000 subs. That's definitely going to happen in 2024. I can tell by the data. But some people, oh, you haven't got 1 million? Well, I'm sorry, I can't spare my time. Well, that's what you get for being interviewed by amateurs, mate. Stuart wants a surprise. Popeye Wazza definitely wants a surprise. Simon John Lavender. Amalia Grassi, I'm easily pleased. I'm so pleased for that, for you, Amalia. We'll give you both. Marks out of 2. Who's that? Rexan. I always like to be surprised. I think it's an age thing, Rexan, to be fair. A surprise is always good. So there are things coming, so to speak. God, no, I've had about 6 really mucky gags go through my head, and I'm sorry, but there are standards, and sometimes I can't overstep those standards. What's Roy Gordon, surprise. Richard Austin, surprise. Peter Sadler, dance to YMCA. Oh, I say, Peter, what-o? Should I have a handlebar moustache? Should I wear a leather policeman's uniform? Oh, I say. Chris Mundy, interview Belfield when he's out. You all right then? You all right? He won't. Because he knows I know. In the field, surprise interview with Villa Black. Hang on. Villa Black? Cilla Black? I'll have to do that via a medium in the field. In Wilkinson, Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, hello, Jeremy, mate. So, thank you for your ideas. Keep your votes coming in for Carry On. Carry On. As in Carry On Henry. That was like Henry VIII. And Sid James as King Henry VIII, about prospective wife Marie, says, has she been chaste? Kenneth Williams as Thomas Cromwell said, all over Normandy, your Royal Highness. Chaste, as in with an E. Oh. It's in the translation. Anyway, we've got a few more. So your favourite Carry On movie and your favourite Carry On quote. Matron. What can I say? So let's talk about this this Jay Slater thing. And, well, I'm not going to talk about him per se. I just want to talk about the reporting of it and how it's... Well, the newspapers are not really reporting it. They're not. Which makes me very suspicious because, as you know, I'm a cynical old tart. And maybe that should be a new mug. Pennine Counties, Oswald Twistle, I know it sort of well when I was working at Rock FM. Now, he's gone missing. He's been missing for a fair few days. And the mum's out there going, give me back my boy. Well, who's she talking to then? Do a live Ouija board? I don't think we're allowed, Andy. Not sure. I think there are certain things that you can't do. But there's just... We'll keep on with Jay Slater in a moment. It's interesting to respond to Andy because there are certain things that you can't do in radio, media, telly, traditional media. You definitely can't do. And all of a sudden, Siran Jones is doing... Who's that? Nicholas. Regarding the young missing lad, do you remember mutual friends who lived in Tenerife, late 80s or 90s? The youth of today don't know the unwritten rules, eh? Well, what can I say? I'll get into that. I'll dive deeper into that in a moment. But I was saying to Andy that there are certain things that you can't do because the religious zealots go, oh, no, you can't do that. No. I mean, back in the 1500s, excuse me, back in the 1500s, you couldn't translate the Bible from Aramaic or Greek or Latin or whatever it was in. You absolutely could not, because according to William Tyndall, he translated the whole of the Bible, for the ploughboy to a king. So anybody had access to the Word of God, seemingly. And the Catholic Church went, oh, no, you don't do that. We're going to burn you at the stake for heresy. He's like, I just translated it so the ploughboy or the king could read their good book and get from it what they got from it. But because that usurped the power of the church, William Tyndall, right, come here, brought him back from Holland because he legged it to Europe. Come back here, right, we're just going to burn you at the stake for heresy. So nowadays, there's still that power. And Siran Jones has done, she's done a new TV thing about witches. And I know it's 2024 and there's not really that many subjects off limits. But how on earth did she get that past the commissioning editors and all the rules in telly and traditional media. And I used to live in a place in the East Midlands which shall remain nameless, but the local church has the last witch that was hung for being a witch in the graveyard. Hang on, she's gone mental. It says Pennine Counties. See, I know, but I thought it was really odd that she was able to do that kind of thing, a program about witches, when I started in radio, cool, blimey, you weren't allowed to do, you weren't even allowed to talk about it, you weren't even allowed to say, not even blasphemous words, but you couldn't say, oh my God. Oh no, can't say that, how very dare you? You're disrespectful to the man upstairs. And I'm like, hang on a second, it's not a bloke. So it's some bloke with a grey beard and a white cassock, playing his harp, wearing his halo, upstairs in the clouds. And then you've got these kiddie fiddlers saying, oh no, can't say that, because it's blasphemous. So 40 years later, after all the kiddie fiddling they've been up to, the Romans, oh no, it can't be blasphemous. I'm not being blasphemous. I'm talking about and I was going to mention this, not to be too disrespectful, but I'm going to be. So the Pope, he's at it again. He's calling it faggotry. And I was thinking, what, 20 Benson and Hedges? No, Adrian, faggotry. What's that? Is it smoking? My favourite, up the Khyber Pass. Oh, the Khyber Diamond. What can I say? But the Pope's been at it again. He's having a go at gay clergy. I mean, he's the guy that's at the top of the food chain in the Catholic Church. So why can't he say, right, we're going to do this? I've decided, I'm the Pope. He'll end up being poisoned, that boy, like some of the others when he wasn't playing ball. Obviously, I wish him a long life and good health, always, with everyone. But you look at the Catholic Church over the last 1,000 years or so. Oof. So let's get back to Jay Slater and Tenerife. Now, I've seen an update today from someone who's in Tenerife, and it's all over TikTok. They're talking about this, and this young guy who's a bit of a wrong'un, I mean, genuinely a wrong'un, he attacked somebody with a machete. So I'm not sure, and he's got form, so I'm not quite sure what he's been up to. But seemingly, there's pictures keep coming out of him at this rave, this dance music thing. Now, as a dance music DJ, I've worked in clubs all over the place, and we all know what clubs are there for. Well, they used to be. I mean, I was there for what was that song? Easer Good, Ebenezer Good. I was there at that time when Acid was all, I mean, from sort of 84, when did I start in the clubs? 83, all the way through to the early 92, 93, so for about 10 years. There was lots of different dance crazes going around. But clubs were known for just, it was drinking and I would say dancing, but in the metaphoric sense. And that's what clubs were for, pulling beer and then recreational gear got involved, and it just went a bit, especially with Ebenezer Good. So I'm just, sorry, I've just noticed the tea bag at the bottom of my cup, empty. So Jay Slater, his best friend is called Lucy, and seemingly there's something that happened, and it's kind of a euphemism I can't really say for legal reasons, but seemingly something went awry. Something was lost. So it looks like young Jay might have got himself into a bit of a spot of bother. But the newspapers, they're like rats up drain pipes, those people. So if they can sniff a good story that's going to say, and it's never been front page. It's not, this is a kid that's been involved in something and has gone missing. Now, instead of being a high teenager, is he 19, 20, 19? And if it had been a 7-year-old, it would have been all over the newspapers. But because they're implying that he should have known better, Yeah, exactly, GB Patriot. You lose something, you've got to pay the price. So, and from what I can gather, Tenerife is full of very, very bad people. And if you lose some of their livelihood, they don't muck about. I mean, I'm not, again, I have to leave some stories with very little detail, but I will tell you this, that the village that my mum and dad used to live in, there was a bit of a furore one Saturday night. And one of the local lads, had everybody had been leaving the pub. It got to about 11 o'clock, and he said, I'm just going to nip to the toilet. Next thing they know, toilets are on fire. Boy that went to the toilets was on fire. And the word went round the village that he'd been dancing with some very, very, very naughty individuals. They came up from Manchester, and he didn't have the money. So he was set on fire as punishment. So these people, they know sometimes they can get away with stuff. So they're going to chance it, especially if there's a lot of money involved. And so from what I can gather, young Jay has got himself into a pretty tight spot in Tenerife. But today the update is that his phone's working. Hang on a second. He said Monday morning that he was down to 1%. And it's now working and ringing 6 days later. It'll be a week tomorrow. So, from what I'm hearing, these individuals, shall we say, have they got his phone and are they charging it, waiting for someone to call? Because they're not interested in people's health. They want their money. Yeah, maybe Piers Morgan charged his phone. Now, as I said at the beginning of this particular piece, the media are not covering this. And I don't understand why, because I will guarantee you, Tenerife, there's like 20 million flights a day out of Tenerife from the London airports. They would have had journalists on flights out of Tenerife before it had hit the wires, this story. They would have had them out there on Monday. They would have been talking to the family and friends. They would have been tracing his steps. The authorities in Tenerife are going to be tracing his steps and working on what exactly happened. And what we're hearing today is that the phone is working. It's ringing. Corroborated. So, me being a bit dim and a cynical old tart, surely the family and all the people that know this would have reported this, the phone ringing, to the authorities. Because I am categorically sure that the bad boys are not that stupid. What? Plug his phone in, waiting for somebody to call, and the authorities ping his phone and know exactly where he is? No. Don't happen. They're not that stupid. He's a very clever businessman. But the media not covering it. I mean, what is he involved in? What was being sold at this music festival that they're not talking about? And exactly what has happened with the bad lads. Now, has he been involved in something? It's a similar story to Dr. Michael Mosley. Lost in the heat. Rich, good point. Now, they're saying that the last place his phone was pinged was on some path that's... I mean, I've been to Tenerife, holidaying. I know that it's not your... well, basically, it's got an interesting landscape, I think is the word that I'm looking for. So if young Jay is known to be violent, like I say, he attacked somebody with a machete in the head. If he's known to be violent, if he's upset the local businessman, are they going to retrieve him from the water? No arms, no legs. Yeah, it's volcanic. Yeah, I know. And seemingly he cut his leg on a cactus. I mean, how weird, man. We didn't come in on the last banana boat. But Tenerife is a tough place. If you get involved with the wrong people, it's like anywhere in the world. Anywhere. There's I mean, I've worked in places where people would go, oh, it's lovely, it's quaint. There was a very dark underbelly, very, very dark underbelly. I mean, I went in a local city. I went for a walk with a friend, female, and she said, oh, let's go down here. And I was like, well, it's an underpass, it'll stink of pee. Get there, there's a couple of lap dancers on like pole dancers. I was like, does this happen every day here? And she was like, no. And then there was a photographer guy taking pictures, and they were obviously being like really edgy and creative and I don't know, doing publicity shots or something. But I said, this is a very interesting city. I did work here once, but very interesting. So I'm. It's one of those head scratchers where you kind of look at the story and go, okay, get it. But we're not being told everything, because what is going on in the background, what businessman or types of businessman has young Jay upset, and it's in Tenerife. The mum's out there going, oh, I'll find him. Must have been a lot of money that these businessmen felt went awry. Must have been a big bag. So let's get to the Royals, because I've been itching to talk about them. Why do I want to talk about them? Because I've worked them out. And what I told you on, and invariably, it's the second hour where all the gold is on these lives. There's some in the first hour, of course. But in the second hour, there is always gold. And I will sort of weave what I told you on Wednesday and Sunday into how what I talk about with the Royals, because I've sussed them. So there is an old ninja saying that 30k. Ian Wilkinson, thank you. 30. Oof. That's a whole lot of bother if you owe somebody 30 G's. Thank you for that. Did Megan sell many dog biscuits? Said Stuart. Thank you for that. I was thinking about that earlier rather than Google it because I was too lazy. I didn't. I forgot what it was. I'll remember now. But there is news. There is news. So the Royals. My old ninja teacher used to say to me, because we do this a thing called Ninja no Kyomen, which is the art of observation. Now, it's good for intel. The ninjas were the best intelligent officers in the world at that time. They were sort of, the ninja were the special forces of the feudal world. And there is a phrase, it's the presence of the unusual in the usual. And my old ninja teacher said to me, he said, you can look at stuff, but when it's the presence of the unusual in the usual, that's when you know there's games afoot. That's when you know stuff's happening. And you can do that. You can apply that to anything in life, like the propaganda peddlers. The presence of the unusual in the usual. Like today, Farage. Oh, he's Zelensky. What the hell is Volodymyr Zelensky from Ukraine deciding that he's got an opinion on the democracy of Great Britain? Mate, Foxtrot Oscar, you're having to buy your democracy from America and everywhere else, and we're giving you billions of pounds, which are worth more than the dollar. We're giving you billions of pounds, and you're saying, oh, Nigel Farage, he's got the virus of Putin. And you've got a bloody corrupt country, mate. So, why are you always wearing fatigues? This is Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Why is he always wearing fatigues? Is that to kind of, is he just playing a part to make you think that he's like the head of the army or something? He's a president. What's he doing? He's not at the pointy end. His missus is still in Paris buying bloody handbags. And that scum-sucking Pond-Life decides that, well, I'm going to have an opinion on something. Well, I'll tell you what, mate, don't have an opinion. Give us our billions back. Stay out of our democracy. We know what we're doing. We know the wrong-uns. We know the crooks. We know the ne'er-do-wells. But Ukraine having an opinion? Plastic soldier. Exactly, Tablock Tracy. Plastic soldier. And it's all for image. Have you seen him dancing? He's the gayest straight man I've ever seen dance. And I've seen lots. Adrian, that could have got you into trouble. Don't be silly. So let's get back to the Royals. So the presence of the unusual in the usual is a very good maxim to use in any. You can have a family do, and all of a sudden it's your instinct. Your instinct. It was worse than dad dancing, Louise. It was worse than dad dancing. It was just. I mean, he doesn't even look as if he was heterosexual at that point. I mean, he's got a wife, so obviously he's got to be. I bet he's one of these that helps out when it gets busy. So the presence of the unusual in the usual, like you have a family gathering, and you're just, sitting there enjoying the beer, enjoying the sunshine, and enjoying the barbecue and the burgers and whatever, and then just something happens and you go, it's a bit odd. Presence of the unusual in the usual. Good to see Tom's made it. 45 minutes late, you're wronging. Not that we're having you clock in and clock out, but welcome to the body of the Kirk, Tom. So let's look at the Royals. So if you look at, like this week, we've had birthday snaps. We've had Baldy Billy, William, Prince of Wales, before you kick off. Look at how the birthday snaps are all taken by Catherine. And the latest one is the Prince William and Princess Charlotte, and then Prince Louis and future King Prince George. They're all dune jumping. I've done that myself. Didn't get caught. Wasn't arrested by the police. And it's like it's just a family picture taken by Catherine. So obviously Catherine hasn't said, like kids, don't jump with your dad. Don't, because it's dangerous. Your dad will end up snapping an ankle or something, or breaking a leg or something. So don't. Oh, okay, I've got my camera ready. Just grimace at the camera when you jump. And here, Billy, if these kids hurt themselves, then you're done for. You'll answer to me when we get back to the castle. You can see all that going on. And so the picture was taken. We were told it was from Catherine, Princess of Wales. No questioning. No questioning. So I'm going to ask you this. Why did they do the AI video? Why did they do the doppelganger at Windsor Farm Shop? Why did they do the Photoshop photo of Catherine and the kids? It stinks. It stinks to high heaven. And, well, they do say that a fish rots from the head down. But why would they do this? And then all of a sudden, there's a picture of little Louis and a picture of William with the kids, dune jumping. Now, he's got that pegged. Something just doesn't sit right. It's the presence of the unusual in the usual. Who's that? Matty P. You're wrongin'. Good evening. And as I've said to you, I don't want the Swiftie to be mentioned every live. But I have to say something, because her music's bloody awful. Look, you pays your money, you take your choice. And have you seen Taylor Swift taking the... So who's taking the picture of Swiftie taking the selfie with the Royals? Have you not asked that question? Was it Catherine? Was she there? Well, if she was there, she would have stopped bloody William, Prince of Wales, dad dancing. William, man, how can you... Honestly, from being into music from a very early age, you absolutely don't. So my favourites are Sex Pistols, Thin Lizzy's, AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Beatles, Earth, Wind and Fire for Marvin Gaye, a broad church. A broad church. Yet, if I went to a Taylor Swift concert, which I absolutely wouldn't, I'd rather stab my eyes out. William, future king of this sceptred isle, is dad dancing to Taylor Swift. Doesn't anybody, one of his advisors, the advisors that are earning tons of money to advise him, didn't think, well, Your Royal Highness, look, Taylor Swift is fine for the kids. I'm sure Princess Charlotte, loves Swiftie. But don't dad dance. Don't let anybody see you dad dancing to Taylor Swift, because your reputation as kind of switched on goes straight out the window. Dad dancing to Taylor Swift. Was he dancing or just saw? Chris Mundy, funny. Sorry, I'll say that again. Chris Mundy says, was he dad dancing or just saw? As I say, he's got the dad dancing pegged, definitely. To Tom Harney's, saw Charlie and Diana at a Genesis concert. Yeah, but they this is the difference. They put earplugs in. I'm sure the Queen has been to many a concert where she'd be like, oh, I say, that was awful. That was absolutely bloody rubbish. But I've got my earplugs in, so I can't really hear anything. I'll just nod my head at the appropriate place, like a politician who doesn't know the national anthem of Wales. So, John Redwood, before you're asking. So, I'll just nod along and I'm fine. And then Charles is not in the Genesis. Well, it depends. Is it the Peter Gabriel version or is it the Phil Collins version? Diana was the Phil Collins version. Loved Phil Collins. If you leave me now. Sorry, that was a Chicago song. It was the first one I remembered. But I remember the Peter Gabriel Genesis, which was just stunning. But then again, you know, Phil Collins sang Follow You, Follow Me, which has some of the best loving lyrics to any song. At any point, have a listen to it. Just listen to it or read the lyrics. Beautiful. Poetry. So, Charlie's not a Genesis fan, not even a Phil Collins fan. Diana was. I mean, Diana could get it away with it. She even liked Duran Duran. So, somebody needs to have a word with Prince William. Don't dad dance to shite, said a spokesperson. And then so he was dancing and then had a selfie. Now, the marketing boys, George Soros, would have, oh, lovely, Taylor. Wonderful, because he talks like I'm private. Wonderful, Taylor, let's get that out to all of my media outlets so that it looks like you're the #1 pop star in the world ever. I'll ask you a question. I bet you can't name a single Taylor Swift song. And there's me talking about Genesis, and I can rattle them off like that. If you want to talk about Led Zeppelin or the Beatles, I mean, the Beatles, they're saying she's bigger than the Beatles. Oh, my hairy backside, is she? Keep up the great work. Who's that for you, Robin? Peter O'Brien. Not sure, but I'll make sure that I'll pop your cherry, Peter. So this is the thing. There's Charlotte and George. Have you seen Charlotte's teeth? There's touches of inbred there. Don't worry, she'll have veneers done. She'll have the best orthodontist in the world ever. Let it be. So they're kind of, you can tell by the smile on the kids' faces that's all over the media. And I don't decry any child joy, but it's just propaganda. It's just, well, I like Taylor Swift. Okay, what's good about Taylor Swift? Oh, tell you, we are the best in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Ish. I mean, Cool Britannia in the mid-90s. No, Jimmy Neal. That's more my cuppa, says Chris Mundy. Jimmy Neal, ain't no doubt. It's plain to see. Ugh. And Jimmy Neal, Big River. That song, I can't listen to that song. It makes me feel homesick. Very homesick. But the Royals, George, his football team's Aston Villa, because his dad's team's Aston Villa, but they weren't born in Birmingham. So they've decided that, well, it must be the purple. It must be the purple. And then, so not only is he supporting Villa, but now he's a Swiftie fan. Here, they need to get that out of him as quickly as possible. Get him some Beatles or some Stones or some Led Zeppelin, some proper rock. Let's get some Deep Purple or Black Sabbath or AC/DC, or play him the full catalogue of Thin Lizzy. Just get that bloody Swiftie shite out of his head. Now, I know he's only a kid, but still, educate the boy about music. Yeah, the old Bovril, the night of drawing in now. So, I don't know. Look, Villa. I mean, I've known some old Aston Villa footballers privately. But he looks like he's a Swiftie fan. Good for George Soros and Taylor Swift, but our future King of England loves Taylor Swift. I feel sorry for the kids. I mean, normally, as you grow up, you get into your mum and dad's record collection, vinyl collection, normally. But, like, have you heard of CD cancer? So CDs, seemingly, if they're not produced correctly, and I have a Beatles promo at the BBC that I picked up one day, just lying around, and I was told, oh yeah, you can have that. So I took it home thinking, went to put it in my CD player, and the shiny side looked like it had like flower motif all the way around. It's called, it's just because of the production of the CD. But you don't get that with vinyl, and now you have to, you know that if people have this massive online music collection, it's not actually theirs. They're just renting it for their lifetime. So that's why people are going back to vinyl, because you can smell it, you can touch it, you can feel it. It's a sensory experience picking up a new album. You can read cover to cover, you can get all the information out, and then you put the stylus on the vinyl, and you hear that just click as it gets into the groove, and the warmth and the romance of everything that's contained within. How wonderful and beautiful is that? Oh, stick a CD on. Mate. Oh, me iTunes. I'll make up a new playlist for you. No. Why can't we educate people? And as Louise says, love my vinyl. There isn't anything else to it. Just love your vinyl. At one point, I had 80,000 pieces of vinyl. I'd again shot some of that. But I couldn't let go any vinyl. And then when CDs came in, people were like making CDs that were various tracks on it. What was the piece of software that I never used in the early days? And the guy that ran it went off to Facebook to help Zuckerberg run it, because it was made illegal, the software, so you could kind of pick tracks up. But then the bit rate on the tracks was so inferior that now if you dub a CD across on any kind of computer, it's like 1,400 bits per second. Family offered to help by Madeleine McCann investigator after police failed to find breakthrough. That's the J. Slater latest from Tenerife. Some of the that tried to find Madeleine McCann, and they used cadaver dogs for Madeleine McCann, and the cadaver dog indicated is the word, where Madeleine was dead. But this is a story. Just keep asking yourself, why is the media not reporting this? Oh, hang on, Popeye Wazza. Rush, Limelight. Oh, Rush, I was watching a video the other day of two of the lads from Rush. They are insanely talented musicians. I mean, not many people know them, but they do around the world. They've got a huge fan base. But LimeWire, oh blimey, remember LimeWire? Who's that from? Marie. Thank you, Marie. Wow, The Bovril has he's got a magnificent erection in his house. He said he's erected my old Harman Kardon hi-fi perpetrates system, now over 40 years old, and got a new pickup head for it. Oh, the old Bovril. You see, we start turning into anoraks. The minute you start talking about vinyl, we all turn into anoraks. But all I was saying was, look, get the little lad, before he goes into senior school, get him into some Lizzie, get him into some Led Zeppelin, get him playing the Beatles at full volume, and listen to the production on those Beatles songs. Taylor Swift. It's enough to make me heave. Talking of royals, as we were, let's get on to Meghan. Whoa, those two idiots, the ginger sphericals and, well, she who can't be named. Grifters are going to grift. You know that she sold a wine, and then thank you to whoever reminded me about the dog biscuits. I think I said that on Wednesday or last Sunday. But now, she's got her own wine. Now, we don't know whether she's grown it herself, a bit like Rosa's, where she's just piling it high with shite. But has she got her own vineyard? Or is it just they're labelling certain bottles as hers? Oh, I had a Technics 2. Who said that? Pauline. Oh, I had a Technics SL 1200s Mark II for the vary speed. Loved it. Like when I was working in the clubs, Technics were the go-to. If you had a couple of Technics SL 1200s, there was loads of magic that you could create. Prince George likes AC/DC. I mean, thunderstruck just listening to... and I was talking to somebody the other day about this. I mean, I know Bon Scott. Bon Scott was like an insane singer, had like one of the best rock god voices ever. And then they kind of... Bon sadly dies, and then AC/DC are thinking, what we're going to do? What we're going to do? How can we replace Bon Scott? Nobody sounds like him. He's got a unique voice. And then somebody goes, have you heard Brian Johnson from, wasn't Geordie. Who was it? Was it Geordie? His band? Have you heard Brian Johnson? No. Highway to Hell. Whoa, there's a song. There's a bloody good song. Yeah, it was Geordie. Thank you, Andrew. So they listen to Brian Johnson with their eyes closed and go, "Bugger me, it's Bon Scott. That's Bon Scott. No, doesn't look like him. Hang on, Bon was taller than that and thinner." Level 42. There's I interviewed Mark, the bassist, many moons ago in the 90s at Rock FM. Lovely, and Mike Linder, lovely guys. But Mark is an insanely awesome bassist. Did I mean bitrate? What did I say, Louise? I can't remember. There's so many things going in my head when I do these lives. So the Royals. Let's get back to Meghan, because there's something coming. Probably ginger sphericals. She's done the dog biscuits and the wine. She's also got the coffee business. Oh, yes. Got my own coffee business. And now the wine. But here's a question. Anybody with any integrity, manners, class, would call their dad on his 80th birthday just to go, happy birthday, Dad. You're wrongin'. And Foxtrot Oscar, I'm busy. But is she going to call him on his 80th birthday? All the jam, wine, dog biscuits, and coffee. Vestax Mixer was the business. Blimey, Nicholas, what the bloody hell's that, man? 2016? Reading 2016? Anyway, so... it's the presence of the unusual in the usual for all the royal stories, and I am telling you this because I'm going to talk about it when I talk about the politics and the politicians that are just seemingly getting away with all kinds of criminality, especially if it's gambling. But I wanted to talk about, you know how life is nowadays. It's 2024. We're doing everything via social media, YouTube, X, Insta, it's all there. Everybody are just portraying their lives for clicks and likes. Again, it's a Black Mirror episode. Charlie Brooks is some writer. He just gets it right more often than not. He's kind of he sees the future. And a Sun journalist has decided, 2024, remember. So, what's his face Walker, the footy player that played really well the other night, not like some of his teammates, but played really, really well. England were pants. They were proper pants. So, some journalist in the Sun on Sunday today has defended, because you know he's got like a missus and some kids, and then he's got a bit on the side hustle with some kids. And there's a Sun journalist defending Lauren Goodman. That's his side hustle with the kids. And she's trying to defend a woman taking his kids to the Euros just to see daddy play. Well, they can see daddy play on the telly. They're kids. They have no perceived idea of being at a football ground. Obviously, they're too young. They're babies. But this Sun journalist is defending her because, well, she's a woman. She's entitled to do that. Well, let me tell you, this might be 2024, and I may be a cynical old tart, and I may actually have some manners, as they say, some old school, old-fashioned manners. But the one thing that this idiotic, scum-sucking pond life journalist in the Sun has completely forgotten, she was banging a married man. Slut. Banging a married man. And knocked 2 kids out while he was married to another woman. Oh, sisterhood, freedom. Sisters are doing it for themselves. Well, if she'd done it for herself, she wouldn't be banging a married man. Just my view, my opinion. Maybe old-fashioned, but it is about time we started getting back to some good old-fashioned English values, which is women shouldn't be going banging married men and then knocking 2 kids out of a married man. Can you imagine the distress that the wife of the man would go through and her children, knowing that there are 2 half-children, brother and sister seemingly? We have to be better than this in 2024. Now, yes, of course, it's a story for the newspapers, because the newspapers want you to buy the newspapers to read the shite that they're printing about. Look, she might be a lovely woman. She might be a lovely woman, and I'm sure she's a great mother. But not taking them to the Euros and shagging a married man? No, it's not big, it's not clever, and it's not classy either. Yeah, Napoleon Bonaparte, I agree with you completely. Yes, it's an old tactic. You know, off you go with multimillionaire. What was it that first attracted you to multimillionaire Kyle Walker? Yes, it does take 2 to tango. And I'm sure his wife won't let him forget that. What Tabloid Tracy's saying? Married men shouldn't be banging single women, but they do. Human nature. Again, Tabloid Tracy, I completely agree. There is no integrity on either side. But he's not single, he was married. He wasn't single, he was married. And as good a footballer as he is, multi-millionaire. Now, is it... What? Look, what do? We have to show, as elders of the parish, exactly what integrity means. And having values and character. And not going, oh, well, I'm a bit bored. Look, if you're a bit bored, get out of your relationship. It's as simple as that. If you're a bit bored and it's not very good for you and you've been married for, 10, 20, 30, 40 years and it's just not working for you, then have a look at yourself. What's going to make you happy? What is going to bring you joy? Because we're a long time dead. Tens of thousands of years, if Göbekli Tepe is to be believed. Rexanne says, my daughter went out on a first date, saw him the next day in town with his wife. She was furious and humiliated, so poured battery acid on his work car. He was a car salesman. Not sure I can agree with criminality, but yeah, they're all at it because they're living empty lives, vacuous, superficial, empty lives, and they think that by having as many notches on their bedpost, it's going to give them some reasoning. It's going to give them a purpose to to life. Having notches on the bedpost is going to give you no purpose in life. Life is much deeper than that. And, you know, some people say, oh, why am I here? Well, go searching for it. Because the answer is there. It's very simple. But it's the purpose of life. And it's the journey, not the destination, that makes all the difference. But let's talk about people just... If you're in a marriage and you're unhappy, leave. Sort it out amicably, leave. Don't then go and have affairs and then go back to the wife or the husband and go, I'm really sorry, I feel really guilty, but I've been sleeping around behind your back. That's World War III. But if you do it before you go and do it, and just organise everything, and I know it's terrible if there are kids involved, but look, don't have kids if you're not going to have a long-term future. And I know things do go wrong. Look, it's life. I get it. But we're here to learn lessons. And if you keep getting the same lesson stuck in front of your peepers, then you know that you didn't learn the lesson and it's come to you in a different way from a different direction for you to learn this lesson. And that's what you're here for. And if you want me to mess with your noodle, somebody said, was talking about God being a man. What? My answer to that is, God is not a he or a she, a thing or an it. It just is. And, you know, we are conditioned as human beings to think there's a beginning, middle, and end to everything. Not to God, whatever God may be. And maybe God is just an energy. God is just a wavelength, a vibration. Who knows? But I know what you are, and you are a fractal of the ineffable experiencing itself as consciousness. Not the shite in the Bible. Look who promulgates the good book. It's always people with an agenda. I wonder why that is then. Or people with power? I've told you many times before, the people with money, with big money. I'm not talking about the odd 10,000, 100 grand or million. I'm talking about people with big money. In the family, the eldest would always get the seat, the family house, and had to look after it and repair it and get it through their lifetime and hand it down to their son. But the second born either went into politics, but normally the church. Why would they do that? Because they had the money, they wanted the power. And religion is where some people got their power from. Yeah, that's a very good point, Rich. The Bible was just a set of rules that people were told to live by. And the Ten Commandments. Now, isn't there some states in America that are going ultra right-wing religious and saying that the Ten Commandments are going to be in every classroom for people to see and live by? Not a bad idea, to be fair, because the state of America. Oh, the state of America. It's dead in the water. Absolutely dead in the water. So, Lauren Goodman, in my view, and I'm an old-fashioned guy, no, I'm not sorry. No integrity, no class. And I get that she may have wanted her son to see his dad play in the Euros. At his age, he's not old enough. Watch him on the telly. Instead of putting these two kids right under the nose of the wife. Now, thankfully, he played really well, Kyle Walker, the other night, unlike some of them. But let's just very quickly touch on... remember, I'm after your favourite Carry-On movies and your favourite Carry-On quotes, because I will give you another one. In Carry-On... Oh, Matron. In Carry-On Matron, Hattie Jacques as Matron. She says, I want to be wooed. And Kenneth Williams as Sir Bernard says, oh, you can be wooed as you like with me. Pay attention. Hattie Jacques is the matron. says, "I want to be wooed." And Kenneth Williams, as Sir Bernard, replies immediately, "Oh, you can be as wooed as you like with me." So, favourite carry-on, even if you've got to Google it, and your favourite carry-on quote, you're wrong. I also want to talk about something that's really deep, but you might perceive it as not being that deep. Comedy in the BBC. Now, I know that sort of during the 70s and the 80s, the 70s was the halcyon days of great comedy at the BBC. Wonderful comedy. Whether you had Markle and Royal or Fawlty Towers or Only Fools and Horses or The Dad's Army. Halcyon days of wonderful comedy. Some of it was very gentle, very genteel. Some of it was just, Fawlty Towers and Only Fools and Horses. It took you into a world that you didn't exist in, but it was just wonderful. And Markle and Royal, the whole family could sit there and roar with laughter because it was very innocent. And as we evolved, look, back in the 70s, you could say anything that you wanted about race. Anything. Love thy neighbour, prime example. And you couldn't talk about anything sexual. Nothing. Yeah, 4 Candles by the Two Ronnies. How wonderful is that? The comedy was just amazing. The Cooking Fat, the name of the cat in Carry On Loving. Wonderful. Or wasn't it Captain Pugwash, Roger the Cabin Boy? Clues were all there. But the comedy at the BBC, when you get through sort of the 80s and they were having a go, Ben Elton and the like were talking about Bernard Manning and others that were sort of, they said they were dinosaurs and they were archaic and they couldn't really do humour anymore. Well, the director of comedy at the BBC is paid £210,000 per year to run comedy at the BBC. Now, it's his job to find stuff to make us laugh. Anything. I don't know whether you're old enough to remember some of the stuff on Saturday nights on the BBC. There was some seaside variety show which was just dog rough, proper awful. But every now and again you'd get a nice singer on there and you think, yeah, I can watch that. And I don't know whether you ever watched The Goodies. That was proper. For me as a young guy, I used to just think, is this funny? And then you would have Monty Python, and some of it was okay. But as I said, all of the great comedians and the great comedies of the 70s were wonderful. And in the 80s, yeah, some of it was okay. Then you get into the 90s, and they're trying to be... It's a bit like all these students that come out of university and they've got a degree, and then they go, I know, I've got a degree in that. Well, you don't actually know anything. You just know what's been in those books that you've been handed and told to read and assimilate. That is just propaganda. The education system, Foxtrot Oscar, or Hawk Tour. Spit on that thang. But this head of comedy at the BBC, his job at 210 grand a year, find stuff to make us funny. And last month he said that he wants sitcoms that are laugh out loud. Even the young ones. You had to be young once to kind of get the young ones. But if you look back at it now, knowing what we know as elders of the parish, it's just wonderful. And Rick Mail, what an actor, what a comedian he turned out to be. All of them that were involved in that Aid Edmondson and stuff, they were involved in the young ones. But that was sort of 80s through to the 90s. It wasn't very funny in the 90s, and then we get to the noughties and everybody's saying, no, you can't say that. No, it's unacceptable now. No, it's not very PC, is it? And you think, no, it's funny. So if you look at the great seaside comedians around the UK, some of them were blue, some of them weren't, some of them were funny, some of them were borderline. But this guy, this head of... I'm not even going to mention him. I refuse to mention him. he wants sitcoms that are laugh out loud. He wants comedies with high joke rate. What does he think this is, Friends? Where every line's got to be a gag line. But that's America. There is thick as pig shit in America. We have irony here. We have subtlety. We have the great British humour, the great British seaside humour. Why should they decry us that? And here's the purpose of this particular part of the live. Mrs. Brown's Boys. Now I get that Hilda Baker, just hilarious. She knows, you know. You have to be a certain age for that. Alan says, bring back Basil Brush. Boom, boom. The adult version. Depends where you're going to stick Basil. In the field too. What have I said now? So Mrs. Brown's Boys. It's Marmite. Some people love it. Some people hate it. And it's the wokerati. It's the left. It's the people that think they know what they're talking about. And there is the old adage. There are those who know and there are those who think they know. And those wokerati, they just sit there going, oh, no, you can't say that. Well, I can. Foxtrot Oscar. I'm not interested in your opinion. Well, I want your opinion. I'll rattle a bag of nuts. So let's just think about this. So the BBC like the woke stuff. So you would think that the BBC would love a comedy about a man identifying as a woman and dressing in women's clothes. Hyacinth, bouquet. But Amali, that's what I'm saying. It's Marmite, but it's kind of saucy, ribaldry. It's just humour. That's all it is. And if there's like tens of millions, because Mrs. Brown's Boys, why isn't the BBC celebrating the wokeness of it? It's the biggest ratings comedy the BBC has. And you can tell that they bloody hate it at the BBC. But it beat Doctor Who in the last Christmas special. Doctor Who, whose latest iteration of the Doctor Who, of the time-travelling Lord, only got over, well, less than 3 million, 2 million and odd for a finale of a Doctor Who series. It's the lowest ever. That's because it's shite. That's because people are voting with their feet. They don't want to see the Time Lord kissing anybody, male or female. No, that's not what the Doctor does. He saves the world from aliens. Dr. Woke, that's very good. Thank you, Rich. That's brilliant. I'm going to use that. So Doctor Who. So they've changed him from a female to a black man. Nothing wrong with that. But let's just have... So the target audience is white, heterosexual males. They've just killed that audience completely. And, I know sometimes I'll have a pop of the Americans. It's just for shits and giggles. But the Americans are even more Bible bashing than we are. Right, look, they might think that they're evolved in the north. But the Bible Belt South, ooh, you have Doctor Who kissing a guy and you're trying to sell it in North America. Not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So is the BBC and the head of their comedy, their director of comedy, not aware that, look, you might think that it's pants comedy, but it's what the audience wants. And that's what commercial TV doesn't get either. That's what Ray Kroc did when he met the McDonald's brothers and thought, hang on, we can make a few bob here. Pile it high, sell it cheap. And that's why McDonald's makes tens and tens, if not hundreds of millions of pounds. Because their ego's not in it. They just work out the way to get your disposable money out of your pocket and buy their burgers and stuff. Whether you like them or not is a different matter. But they're very adept at being a business. So the BBC is using mine and your money to deliver what exactly? BBC's are busted flush. The BBC's finished. It's TV and radio by committee. Never works. They have I have friends that work at the BBC who are wonderfully talented. These are people that have spent decades honing and learning their craft and being the best version of a presenter or a newscaster or a journalist that they can be. It's not them that's ruining the BBC. It's the idiots, the office jockeys, the desk jockeys that are sitting there making decisions that they have no idea how to make. In the field, BBC, busted bog chain. Chris Mundy, screens put up around player, lots of medical staff on pitch. Is that currently, Chris? You know what that is, don't you? Don't take Einstein. So I hope it's not Christian Eriksen. It was wonderful seeing Christian Eriksen playing for Denmark the other night, even though they were playing against England. But it was wonderful because it was the Euros 4 years ago where the poor guy collapsed. Now, I have my view, and I'm sure you'll say it, but as Andrew Bridgen continually says in the Houses of Parliament before it was dissolved, what's the injury rate and the fatality rate for the jibber jabber? Let's have the data, please, because I'm sure somebody's got it somewhere. Injuries at the Scotland game. BBC Enterprises own lots of the TV channels, like Dave. Well, yeah, they've got to have an outlet. But that's a commercial entity, and I'm not quite sure how they do that. Nicholas says, not sure if you've heard, we lost a good friend this week. R.I.P. Terry Joyce, one of the best comedians in the Northeast. Wow. Nicholas, thank you for that. I mean, I will tell you, because he was a very, very, very lovely man. When I started in radio at TFM in the Northeast, it was Radio Tees, and Metro had just bought us out, and they had all the lineup. There was some fabulous guys there, some fabulous radio personalities, and there was a guy that I knew as Peter Crooks. But his on-air name was Peter Quest, and he was just the funniest guy. And the boss of the radio station said, right, you two, as in me and Questy, right, you two, I'm going to stick you on for a week each, and then I'm going to make a decision. I'm not quite sure which one of you I want in afternoon. So you've got a week to go and do what you need to do and present the afternoon show, and then we'll make a decision. Thank you. Hungarian footballer collapses on pitch. I do wish them well. This is awful. This is just... Let me tell you about Questy. So we both did our week, and the boss came to me and said, look, I'm going to give you afternoons. I'm going to give you afternoons permanently. Are you okay with that? And I said, yes, of course. And that's fabulous news. Because I'd only just been doing bits and pieces. I think this was 84, 85. Gonna give you afternoons. So I went on to do afternoons. And Questy went into the record library, because every radio station had tons of vinyl. I mean, thousands and thousands of pieces of vinyl. And Questy went in there and looked after it. So he had a full-time job. He had us presenters mithering him about, Questy, have you got this or have you got that? Yeah. And he was fabulous. Loved him. And the sad news came through this week that Questy had passed away in Thailand, I think it was. But Questy was always had a new business, had a new bit going on. He was a stall holder and a driving instructor, and was an online, I think it was an English teacher or something. So that's possibly why he was out in Thailand teaching people to speak English. But he was a lovely, genuine man, and he was only in his 50s. I don't know whether he had any health issues, because he'd been out in Thailand a few years, and I'd spoken to him via social media on a few occasions, saying, oi, you're wrong, when you're coming back, let's have a couple of beers. And when I got married last year, he contacted me and said, congratulations. But it was so sad to hear of someone who was far too young to pass away, far too young. And And this is becoming more and more and more common. And this is why I believe there's all this darkness, this evil entity, if you want to call it that, in the world nowadays. Because Anthony Fauci and the like are getting away with this. In my view, it's murder. And they're saying, well, people can't be... we signed it all off so that the big pharma can't be prosecuted, can't be taken to court, can't have civil actions. And I just... And I've said many times on these lives, I'm not judging anyone for taking it because I know how difficult it was. I know the attacks I got, and I wasn't even on social media. I know the attacks I got within family. Family were saying, you need to take the jibber jabber. You need to take the jibber jabber. You're putting other people at risk. Turns out I wasn't. It was actually the jibber jabber that was putting people at risk. And which politician was it that said to another politician when they said they'd had the jab? He said, right, you're going to be dead in 5 years. And all of a sudden, we've got footballers collapsing at the Euros. Again, happened 4 years ago with Christian Eriksen. A lot of the footballers were told, you have to have this. And they were playing football to empty stadiums. How can they get away with this? Because we see through it now. We know what's going on. So my final word, because I was taken away onto another subject. My final word on this, and I know, this is a challenging truth to hear, because I know why a load of people have just left the live. It is challenging. I'm not judging you, and I'm not saying there are other people that are judging you. Not. I wish we could support you. And there are things that are emerging now where you can start to take stuff, but it depends on how many jibber jabbers you've had. But I didn't get that. And you can now wash your own blood and get rid of the spike protein out of your blood. But it depends how many jabs you've had. But if you've had 2 or more, it could take up to a year to wash your blood. And it's like the landmines. So the arms and armaments people will sell you the landmines, saying it'll protect your land or your peoples against attack. And then when the war's over, they go, right, so do you want to pay us and we'll come and get rid of your landmines for you? It's double bubble. They sell you the landmines and then they sell you them to get rid of it. So now we've got all these jibber jabbers, like tens of billions, millions around the world. And now they're saying, we're going to bring out some medication that will take the spike protein away. So as much as it's challenging and difficult to hear this, and I'm not forcing anything down anybody's throat, we have to stand together. Fauci, in front of very erudite and clever politicians in America, he was virtually laughing in their face. Nobody can touch him. Only Donald Trump, if he gets back in. Pauline, I can only give you my own personal experience. How did people avoid it? What did they say to the doctors pestering? I just told them I'd had it. I'd had Charlie 19. And I did. I'm type 2 diabetic, so I was at high risk. And the doctors were on at me. You've got to have it, you've got to have it, you've got to have it. And I said, I don't. And I looked at people on Facebook, and I lost friends over this. A bit like the miners' strike. Families are still not right after the miners' strike 40 years ago. And I just knew that there was something afoot. I couldn't work out what it was, because we were all being scared at the beginning. They were saying this, and then all of a sudden it will be twisted. And it's in that twisting, the presence of the unusual in the usual. I thought, hang on a second. So when the doctors were sending me, they were saying, have you tested positive? Right, you need this. And you can come in and we'll organise a... Well, I can't come in. What are you talking about? Don't be stupid. I can't go anywhere. We're in lockdown, doctor. Oh, yeah. And I remember with the new Mrs. Allen having to go to one of these testing stations where you had to shove it up your nose. You couldn't get them to do it because they didn't want to get... It was like the hazmat suits and stuff. And I was thinking, this is a bit overkill for something that ostensibly is the cold virus. And it was because of that overkill, I just thought, and I would look at going around supermarkets because everybody bought bog roll, you couldn't get any. And all of these little things that drip, 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 drip. The Charlie 19 test was only 50% accurate. Oh, the PCR test. Dear Lord. But that was the measurement. I was in work. And I said, look, I'm really concerned because I've been to a party and the person at the party has tested positive for Charlie 19. I said, what do you want me to do? And they said, test in work. You're negative, but you're going home. Until we know that wave has gone from the party that you were at, you can't stay and work. And I was off for 3 months. Wouldn't let me go back in because somebody I knew, a family member, had Charlie 19. And now they're saying bird flu. Oh, here, mate, you can definitely fox for Oscar with that. H5N1, my hairy backside. And it's gone from birds to some little Mexican. Utter tosh. And now people are saying that they're finding out about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine that President Trump told you about. And remember what people said about him? So it's all of this. We learned a lot in the pandemic. We learned an awful lot. We learned about the propagandists. We learned about what governments will do, whether you like it or not, and you will do as you're told, whether you like it or not. We know what will happen if people don't stick to the narrative. They will, the most powerful man in the Western world, virtually brought down so that President Poopy Pants could look after seemingly the most powerful country in the world through 4 years of, well, he's not necessarily shooting from the hip, he's shooting from his backside. President Poopy Pants. I mean, he can't even speak a sentence, that man. But the one before him, 45, he told you about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. But there's no money in ivermectin. There's no money. They can't give it to you. But governments can buy hundreds of millions of pounds or dollars or yen or franc or euro. They can spend hundreds of millions and tell you better take it. While they are washing that money, possibly through Ukraine, so they can all shove it in their trouser pocket and be off with it. Oh, he suffered a serious head injury. Okay. Wasn't necessarily a collapse. But it still got us to a truth that needs to be told. Joining the dots is very difficult because these evil entities are very clever. They've been at this for a long time. And they're getting Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. We're almost at the line. We're almost at the finish line where they're going to strangle your freedom. Now let's talk about what these crooked idiots are up to. Now, the Labour Party. I read today, and this has really angered me to the point where I'm not sure I'm going to be able to communicate this because I just wanted to go fighting. And I'm a peaceable kind of guy. I'd rather offer somebody Battenberg. But Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister, somewhere right of Attila the Hun. And she was telling the New Zealanders, you will do as you are told. I am the Prime Minister. You will do as you are told. Otherwise, we're going to lock you down or we'll keep you in your house. Who are you? I mean, if I was the New Zealanders, the Maoris, I'd be out there going, here, Jacinda, Foxtrot Oscar, mate, you're telling us what? And then she disappears without rhyme or reason. I wonder why that is. But now we've got somebody similar in the Labour Party. She's the Shadow Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson. Sadly, she's the MP for Sunderland South and Hortonley Spring, which is how you spell it, how you pronounce it. Now, I did my apprenticeship, motor vehicle apprenticeship, part in Hortonley Spring and part in Sunderland. And Bridget Phillipson, this is, and I'm quoting, this is what she's saying. Vladimir Putin is pumping our children's brains full of fake news. Holy Jesus! Do you know what's coming next? The Chinese Communist Party will be giving her a briefing telling her what to say. There's no such thing as left wing. It's abject communism. This is the Labour Party who, they say, according to the newspapers, they're going to put into power with a super majority. I don't think these pollsters are actually talking to anybody on the street, man or woman. They're just making it up. It's shite. Vladimir Putin is pumping our children's brains full of fake news. I think you'll find he's not, you dim tart. Last weekend, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, came out and said that he was willing to negotiate peace. And then Volodymyr Zelensky came out 48 hours later and says Ukraine is willing to negotiate peace. And this dim-witted prat is saying that Vladimir Putin is pumping our children's brains full of fake news. Quote, propagandist tart. And how Sunderland hasn't seen through this moron, I have no idea. Because it's their children that are gonna look. If you tolerate this, your children will be next. I told you I wouldn't be able to speak. I'm so angry at it. I'm so angry at my hometown, my home city, allowing this moron, this cheeky tart, to tell me and you that, oh, well, you know, Vladimir Putin, he's not the fucking bogeyman, you idiot. These politicians are corrupt. They're crooks. What are they doing? Lying through their back teeth. They're giving you propaganda, and when they get in, if they've got a super majority, can you imagine what they're going to do? They're going to tell you that Vladimir Putin is the bogeyman. Oh, he fired some bombs at us, so let's just press the nuclear button, shall we? I'm going to talk to you about Andrew Bridgen in a moment. But there's Putin come out and said, there have been 4 types of certain missiles that have been fired at Russia. They're American made, and they need American technicians to be able to fire them from Ukraine. And Vladimir Putin is nobody's fool. No one's. Now, I'm not suggesting to you that I am a fan of his or his political leanings or anybody that's on the left or the right or anywhere that is involved in politicians, because they all lie. All of them. Every single damn one of them lie. And does it get me angry? Oh, you bet your sweet Pippi. Scum-sucking pond life telling us how to think. Here, fuck off! And I don't care about the bad language. I don't. She's a thick tart, in my view. Let's get to Andrew Bridgen, who has agreed to come on the show. And I saw a new interview today. And he says, and this is on Resistance GB, I think. I don't even know what that is. I just saw the video with the branding on it. And Andrew Bridgen says, and I'm quoting, I've got defense analysts feeding me information. They're saying there's going to be a nuclear detonation in Europe. It could be a dirty bomb. Ukraine has lots of material floating around from their reactors. Nuclear material floating around. Those that have interest in making money from war, in my view, nuclear doesn't work. It's only a deterrent. You launch it as the Americans did to stop the Japanese. But let me tell you this, nuclear doesn't work for a forevermore war. But if they're saying, so I've got defense analysts feeding me information, which is very clever, as in the words that he's using. But I would suggest to you that the West needs the bogeyman, the boogeyman. It used to be Osama bin Laden. But then again, he was a CIA operative, and the Tora Bora mountain range was flattened by B-52 bombers, American bombers, saying, well, we've got to find Osama bin Laden. He's in there, he's in there, he's in there. Well, the CIA built his headquarters in the mountains. And if you want an example, look at the news that's coming out this afternoon. It may make the newspapers tomorrow. I very much doubt it. Can you remember the Wagner mercenaries? Can you remember that? The Wagner operatives that were chasing Vladimir Putin up to Moscow, or St. Petersburg rather. And St. Petersburg was where the Wagner operatives had their headquarters, and the CIA paid Wagner $6.2 billion to go after Putin. And what happened when the Wagner Corporation got the $6.2 billion? They disbanded and buggered off. So there's the CIA left with egg on their face. Not as bad as September the 10th, the day before 9/11, when Donald Rumsfeld stood up in the Pentagon and says, not the Pentagon, in the White House, in a press conference, and said, right lads, it looks like $3 trillion has gone missing. That was lost after the planes hit the towers. WTC 7 was pulled. That was the command and control for the operation. Is this real world? Or is it exercise? Quote, because on the morning of 9/11, the people that were in the exercise thought it was the exercise, not real world. Because the exercise was planes flying themselves into designated targets on American soil. That was going on the morning of 9/11. The day after, Donald Rumsfeld said, sorry lads, this trillion's gone missing. Don't know who's got it, but it's gone missing. So there's the Wagner Group to get it back on track. There's the Wagner Group, walks away with $6.2 billion. And the CIA does nothing. Well, they're very upset at Vladimir Putin. If he could have half. The Wagner Group can disappear, get their faces reconstructed in South America, and live a very nice life on $3 billion, mate. Hang on. Somebody not heard of WTC 7? There's a rabbit hole you want to go down. Peter Sadler. Didn't the leader of the Wagner Group get killed? How, man? Peter, how many of these lives have you seen? He's not dead. He's in South America having his face redone. He's got billions of dollars in his trouser pocket. The CIA can't find it. The CIA don't want to go to the president. I mean, they can go to the president as much as they want. They'll just shit his pants and go to sleep. But how can they say, Mr. President, we gave $6.2 billion to the Wagner Group, the mercenaries, to go and kill Vladimir Putin. Right, okay. Did they kill him? No. So where's the $6.2 billion gone? Dunno. Has Vladimir Putin got $3 billion of ours in his trouser pocket? And didn't Vladimir Putin have a dance with Digger's ex-missus? Not May Pang. I think that was John Lennon's missus. Or peccadillo, as they say. So, I think what is going on here, this is just my private view. They're keeping you afraid. Everything. Now, I've thought about this for the last couple of hours before I came on air. And I'm not a man that scares easy. I've seen some terrible, wicked stuff in my lifetime. I don't scare easy. So I can imagine that after the last 4 years, they're injecting the fear into you. They want you scared because they're so close to the finish line. They want it done by 2027. They're not kicking the teeth away another couple of years. Another couple of years of keeping everybody scared. So now they want Putin to be the bogeyman. They're saying, oh, remember when he was, I've got the DTs. Remember when he was, might have been on the lash the previous night, but woke up and was a bit sore. Oh, he's dying. Yes, he's definitely dying. Well, look, the amount of masks that actors are wearing that look like Joe Biden, and in fact, I'm going to do one of these videos where I'm actually going to name the actor, one of the actors who looks like him, but wears this prosthetic mask. I doubt he's the one that shits himself, but they're just keeping you scared witless. That's what this is about. Keeps you in a place where they can control you. So Andrew Bridgen comes out. Is he paid opposition? He's saying, and I quote again, I've got defence analysts feeding me information. And he's saying that there's possibly been, Andrew Bridgen, and I quote again, they have been set off in the Donbass area now. So I'm going to ask you a question. If there were small nuclear warheads set off in Donbass area in the last week or so, is that why the peace speeches on both sides were made last weekend? Because there's a limited nuclear strike, and then somebody says to Volodymyr Zelensky and Ukraine, the Russians have fired that. And then somebody has a word with Vladimir Putin, and he goes, Ukraine have just fired that. So both of them back off. And yet this week, Andrew Bridgen's come out and said, I've got defence analysts feeding me information. Now remember, America, which is busted, its economy's gone. They're in so much debt that their GDP can't get them out. They can't operate their way out of this debt. They are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. And now that Saudi Arabia, after their 50-year lease, have said, we're not going to deal our oil in the petrodollar anymore. We're going to do it in the ruble or the yen or any other denomination. We're not doing it in the petrodollar. Saudi Arabia, one of the biggest producers of oil in the world. America's finished. So what would America need? War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. So where would they want the war? They don't want it on their doorstep. Absolutely, categorically. They've never liked it up them. I mean, look at Pearl Harbor. Yeah, I know. Look, I get it. I'm not going to go into Pearl Harbor tonight, but I get it. And you've got very intelligent, clever MP saying, I've got defence analysts feeding me information. So let's look at what Volodymyr Zelensky has said about Nigel Farage. If you look at it, Nigel Farage is the outsider. They are trying every which way to blacken his name, to keep him out of power, to stop him becoming an MP and to stop his party replacing the Tory party. The Tories are saying, oh, if we get 180 seats, that'll be really good. And then polls come out and they're saying they're going to get as few as 53 seats. The reason why I want to do this live on July the 4th is I am fully expecting a night of long knives, and I am fully expecting blood up the walls. And remember, I gave you all those countries that have banned postal voting. And this country still goes with postal voting. Oi, 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 oi. Look at what happened. The hanging Chad in America. Presidential elections of hung or fallen by tiny margins. And so the president that got over 80 million votes is worried that he won't get in this time. 80 million votes. So why do we allow... I mean, I know that some people can't get to the voting booths. I get that. But how do we create a system that's not corrupt, that doesn't benefit the MPs? So let me tell you something about what's going on. Nigel Farage, the outsider. I can guarantee, and I've told you this repeatedly since the beginning of this channel, that's almost 2 years. Politics is a rigged game. The political classes don't want you waking up. The political classes want you to do as you're told. The political classes want to run the rigged game for the power, for what they get. Whether it's rent boys being dumped in the North Sea or not. The political classes just don't want you to do anything other than do as you are told. So they're brigging it. Because all of a sudden, the man and woman on the street, and they're looking at Brexit, that's why they're talking about Brexit now, the man and woman on the street had enough of the BS around Europe and Brexit. 17 million people voted to leave. They didn't want that. How very dare you? I don't know which way you voted. I'm not particularly interested. But the vote came out that we were leaving. And then they scuppered it and they twisted it and they stopped you from getting any benefits whatsoever for doing something that they never expected you would do, which was vote out. Not out. Just out. Didn't want you to do it, didn't expect you to do it, and bugger me, you went and done it. So now numerous media, every single newspaper, doesn't matter whether it's the left or the right, whether it's the Tory Graph or whether it's the hardline Socialist Worker, I'm more the Daily Mirror than the Socialist Worker, but numerous media are trying to smear Nigel Farage. And now, all of a sudden, Farage is going, hang on a second, this is election interference. And nobody's screaming about that. Look at the political bias on the BBC and not inviting him into question time. Because if he started talking common sense when all the other idiots are talking shite, then the voters are going to go, do you know, he's actually speaking common sense. The media, the propaganda peddlers, are spreading anything that will make you think twice about what they have decided. So you know it's the Sun what won it. And it was the Neil Kinnock version of the Labour Party. It wasn't until Charles Linton Blair got into power. I mean, I wonder why Gordon Brown and Tony Blair had a meal one night in Westminster, where they talked about stuff. And, well, what can I say other than, well, Charles Linton told the person he was dining with, leave me to become Prime Minister. Can't say any more than that. But if you know what I know, and I wish you did, and I hope you do, crooks, all of them. Doesn't matter how their crooked teeth smile at the camera, they're all crooks. Evil. But what the political classes don't realise, and look, we've had the Liberals, we've had the Social Democrats, we've had the Liberal Democrats, we've got the Green Party, SNP and Plaid Cymru. What the hell are they on our TVs for? Here, Foxtrot Oscar, it's got nothing to do with England. Who do you think you are? The SNP. Right, go to Scotland. That's where you belong. And look after your own people. Do whatever you want. But seemingly, the SNP are barely going to get eight seats. Talking to Scotland. Scotland's out of the Euros. And Plaid Cymru. So we have all these political parties. It doesn't matter. It's a rigged game, all of it. But you must vote. Because I would make voting compulsory. You must vote in this general election. Vote with your head, your heart, and your conscience. Because if you tolerate this, your children will be next. Please educate your children and your grandchildren about the shenanigans that have gone on. We're getting to an age where, me personally, I can remember what went on in the 70s, barely remember what went on in the 60s. But I know that I've been watching all this BS for 50 odd years and been aware of it. I can remember the Lib Lab Pact. I can remember today's. I can remember, Harold Wilson with his pipe and having it away with a couple of his secretaries. At least it wasn't banging rent boys. But it's all corrupt. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So the man and woman on the street, I can guarantee you from the people that I've been talking to, they're not interested in the political class's crooked lies. They're not interested in telling the pollsters the truth. They're not interested when the pollster says, oh, who are you going to be voting for? Is Raving Lord Such still around? And where's Count Binface standing? You and I know that the political classes are all promise so long as you get them into power. All promise and they don't deliver anything. I'll just give you 3 words. Since he's been in Prime Minister for the last year. Stop the boats. Stop the boats. We're going to stop the boats. Did you hear me? We're going to stop the boats. So we're going to stop the boats. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to stop the boats. And they haven't. They didn't. They were never going to. That's why this political party, the Conservatives, this could be eviscerated from the political landscape because of what they've said and done. But the cynical old tart of me just thinks, hang on a second. Was that the job that Rich Boy was put into power to do? He's got billions, him and his missus and her family. Billions. Why would he want to become a politician? I mean, a Prime Minister's wage. It's not even a round of drinks for that boy. It's not even a pair of shoes. Why would he want the power? Unless he's been under orders and unless they, well, not him, because he can't earn money while he's a Prime Minister. But Infosys can. What if it's billions and billions and billions and tens of billions or hundreds of billions that they make while he's Prime Minister? They're now saying on the front of the Sunday Mirror, this was today. £1 million a month boost, 12 million a year. I thought he'd made 120 million the last. I mean, the amounts are obscene. There's nothing that he can do that's going to right the wrongs of his prime ministerial tenure. All promise, no action, stop the boats. When did that happen? It didn't. Same as Blair in the last Labour government. Gordon Brown sold off our gold at the bottom of the market. There's a clever boy. So why hasn't Gordon Brown been given a seat in the Lords? Because that's normally what you get for being Prime Minister. Remember, vote with your head, your heart, and your conscience. I do want you to vote. I don't want you to spoil your vote. I want you to look at all of the candidates for your area and decide which one is best. Because that's democracy. Screen every political wannabe for who they are and what they are going to do for you, for your family, and most importantly, for your community. That is democracy. Got a few things that I'm going to continue for a little while. So I ran a few polls this week, and I think what we'll do is we'll start to use the polls on a Sunday during the live. And one of the polls was, have you absolutely categorically made up your mind who you are going to vote for? On July the 4th, we had almost 600 votes. Wasn't very far away. 600 votes is quite substantial. Thank you very much. 74% of people said yes. I've absolutely categorically decided who I'm going to vote for. Only 10% said no. And 16% said, I'm not going to vote. So it looks like there's a very clear vision from people. They know who they're going to vote for, and they're going to put their X in that box. And I hope that it's more than the usual lackluster 20-odd% that turn out to vote. And I also, let's talk about the footy, because Scotland are out. Obs. And one of the players has collapsed with a head injury this evening, which is awful. I do wish him and the team and those that saw it well. But the footy, I mean, it's almost as if the manager is not telling them how to play. Now, we've got some of the best players in the world for their position playing for England. And they don't know what to do. I mean, anytime any of the players got the ball, they passed it backwards. Well, the easiest thing in the world is just run at the opposition. I mean, look, if I was any good at football management, I'd be a football manager, preferably managing Sunderland. But they're going to come up against a good team. The teams that they're playing at the moment are just, they're not great. Denmark accepted. But the minute that England come up a great side, unless they get their act together and actually don't put Jude Bellingham in as a number 10, put him in as a number 8, and put Foden in as a number 10, have the wing-backs. Kyle Walker was doing that all the game, running at the opposition with 3 lions on my chest. You see, I can't go wrong. Get round the back. I'm an England man. The master plan. Get round the back. And I'm not talking about the political back door, you're wrong. I'm talking about run at them, scare them with our pace, and just, they've got nothing to lose now. Instead of relying on the usual suspects, just give our great players, and there are at least 3 that I would suggest are the best players in the world. We've got some of the best sides in the Premiership. We've got some of the best managers in the Premiership. And if Gareth Southgate doesn't win on Tuesday night, I'd sack the fecker and bring Jurgen Klopp in. Klopp knows how to do it. Klopp knows how to put a side together. Klopp knows how to get a side running at the opposition. If Klopp was manager, England would be devastating. But little cute Gareth Gates, who couldn't take a penalty to save his life. Gareth Southgate. Sorry. Gareth Southgate. That was funny, actually. Gareth Southgate couldn't take a penalty. Just leave us alone. We've got some of the best players in the world. Leave us alone. Let the players decide. Let the players just play with freedom. So let's get to the reason why I mentioned a few of the Carry On. I'll mention another one. In Carry On, Don't Lose Your Head, Kenneth Williams says, I'm Camembert. I'm the big cheese. Or there was, in Carry On Screaming, can you remember Harry H. Corbett from Steptoe and Son? He says, in Carry On Screaming, this ear was found in the woods. And Fenella Fielding, who had one of the best female actress voices ever, said, what? This ear? And Harry H. Corbett said, yes, that there. Probably had to be in the delivery. And the final one of my favourite Carry On actors, Frankie Howard. Frankie Howard as Professor Inigo Tinkle. He says, I'm flabbergasted in Carry On Up the Jungle. I'm flabbergasted. My gast has never been so flabbered. So if you've got any more Carry On film favourites or Carry On quotes, I'd love them. And the reason I'm mentioning that through the live tonight is that the wonderful news is that 15 Carry On pantos are being organised across England. They're going to be staged simultaneously across the UK. That obviously means sort of Scotland, Wales and England at the same time. It's going to be called a Carry On Laughing event. Isn't that wonderful? And I was trying to explain the great British humour, because we seem to have lost it over the last, 40 years, since the 80s. We've lost it. We used to be incredibly funny. The rest of the world didn't really get us. I mean, America, you try explaining irony to the Americans. They don't really get it. But, and I'm not suggesting we go back to traditional values. What I'm saying is, let's just be us and celebrate the us for us. Whether you like Mrs. Brown's Boys or not, whether you like other things, so long as you're finding your joy and so long as you're laughing at something, it's such a great tonic. And the carry-ons, we should revere them for being part of our heritage. And maybe the BBC need to do kind of docudramas about what went on in the background. Sid James seemingly banging Barbara Windsor in the background, or stuff going on, or Kenneth Williams writing in his diary poisonous stuff about his fellow carry-on thespians. Let's have a bit of reality. And oh, by the way, if the BBC does that, I want to cut. You're wrong, and 10%. Ideas fee. One of the things that I really, I've got three things that I want to tell you about before I wrap tonight's live up. One, the hot tour girl. Wonderful. It's brightened an otherwise dull weekend on social media. I mean, as I've been talking, sort of the thread going through tonight's live has been humour and comedy. And the hot tour girl, HAWK space TUA. Go on, X. Just put it in there. Now, where's everyone's sense of humour gone? It was just a girl. Was it Memphis, Tennessee? Nashville, Tennessee. She was just out having had a few sherbets, and one of these YouTubers or TikTokers has kind of doorstepped her on the pavement and asked her a question, and she's gone, "Oh, just hot tour, spit on that damn thing," and the whole world has lost its mind, especially America. Because they know what she was speaking was a truth. And you've got those on the biblical right going, "Oh, I say, she can't say that." Well, I think you'll find she can. And I think you'll find she's become very famous. Now, it happened about 10 days ago. And it's gone massively viral. Not just viral, like insanely viral. There's hundreds of millions of people watched it. They watched the interview. They love her. Except, I saw somewhere today that she's been fired from her teaching position because of the video going viral. Now, my take on that is, what the hell was the education department thinking about firing someone that had nothing to do with schooling, had nothing to do while she was in schooling, with her job, or anything? These idiots, the wokerati, that's what we're going to get July 4th. Idiots. Morons. Vote, Muppet, because that's what you're going to get. Now, I would suggest that anything on social media, unless illegal, should not be used to cancel someone or them in particular losing their full-time job. Tour, the Nashville Queen, Tennessee, within 10 days has got 24 baseball caps. She's got the T-shirts, the baseball cap, Tour 24, spit on that damn thing. Everybody's laughing. It's brightened everybody's day, unless those that have got their knickers in a bunch, their tighties in a bunch, and they're going, "Oh no, you can't say that. Oh, here, come off social media, because honestly, you're about as funny as piles." She's brightened up, certainly America. She's lit America up. And there's even been somebody, they've got AI to compose a country song about Hawk Tour. And it's just that, the fact that they gave it a term and described it. In 10 days, she's jumped right on it. I bet you she's making a shed load of money on merch. A proper shed load of money. There'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars in this for her. Everybody's laughing. Everybody wants a T-shirt. Everybody is wanting to be involved and is talking about it. And I'm sure over the next few days, it's still going to go. It's a bit like or Charlie bit my finger. Remember at the beginning of the internet, sort of, when there was that, it's had over 1 billion views, seemingly. That little video clip where the baby, Charlie, bit his brother's finger. Ow, Charlie bit my finger. Remember that video? Wonderful of the time. Now you look at it and think, oh, Jesus, get a life. But the hot tour girl from Memphis, Tennessee, she's brightened everybody's weekend of the last 10 days, those that have seen it. So, all these morons, all these muppets, folk muppets. 2 other things. So we're going to get deeper and darker with these 2 things. 1, are you aware that police forces, or a police force in particular, which I will name in a moment, are using ANPR, that's automatic number plate recognition, which seemingly you're not allowed to speak about because nobody's supposed to know about it. It's been all over the bloody telly. ANPR drone speed cameras. So they're not sitting there eating their donuts behind... Look, I got into major league trouble in Nottingham on Century 106 when I was doing a lunchtime phone-in, because I said to the Chief Constable on air, look, I can help you reappropriate your resources a lot better than you are at the moment, because they're so people would ring in and tell me where the speed cameras were. So I would tell everybody that was driving around, don't drive down there, don't drive down there. There's a cop hiding behind a bush shelter with a speed gun. And I said to them, unless you tell me this is not a money-making exercise, the motorist is not a cash cow, I'm going to continue doing this. I'm just helping you. I'm being a good citizen. I'm reappropriating your resources more effectively than you can. Anyway, I'm just a bad boy. ANPR drone speed cameras they're going to use to track a vehicle's speed. They can be used as evidence for speeding. They can be used to check a vehicle's insurance, tax and MOT. And it's being trialled currently by Devon and Cornwall Constabulary. This is a drone that you won't see, at least with speed cameras. Now, somebody posed a question to me earlier saying, well, haven't they got to tell you that they're going to use a speed camera in the area? Well, I know that on some of the arterial routes, the local forces will sit there having their buns and their coffees and stuff while using a camera over a bridge, over a motorway. So I'm sure that they have to be legal before they can use them in some way, shape or form. And I'm sure that the Thin Blue Line has checked the legality of it all. But the thing that comes across to me is it's 1984. It's just doing the motorist out of cash. This is a cash generating exercise. And you won't see whether you've been done for speeding until the fine drops on your doormat. It's a cash cow, like all speeding cameras. But Devon and Cornwall Constabulary are using them to get you. If you go down to Devon and Cornwall, they're going to get you. And then if it's successful, obviously if it makes a shitload of money, if it's successful, they're going to roll it out across all the other police forces. But if somebody breaks into your house, you can wait 2 months for the cops to turn up. But hey, don't go speeding. They're going to catch you. It's all over for the man and woman on the street. All over. It's 1984. Can't stop it. And can you imagine how bad it's going to get after the 4th of July? Don't forget, we're going to do a live. 10 p.m. it starts. This is 1984 by stealth. And let me tell you about drones, my final point, and this is the darkest of the points. I've seen 2 videos today of the war in Russia and Ukraine. 2 Russian videos. And one is an unarmed man, a Russian, running with 2 army soldiers. You'll see this online if you go looking for it. And the guy is blown up by the drone. But he's only badly injured. So they literally, the drone is the missile, but there's another drone sitting above it, monitoring what's going on. It's like a game on a PlayStation. And so the one drone or missile hits the guy, the drone just stays static, and the other soldier that's running past, the guy's pointing to his head. So he's basically saying to him, take me out, I'm badly injured, just shoot me. So the soldier, that's his job, just walks past and shoots the boy in the head, dead. And this is new warfare. So they're using drones to try and kill people, and if they don't kill them, then their army oppos are going to have to shoot them in the head to kill them, because he doesn't want to get caught by them. And then there was a second video, and I couldn't quite work out what was going on at first, because I saw this guy doing this, and he was begging to a drone. This is straight out of Black Mirror, begging to a drone for his life. And the drone just flew down and blew him up into bits. Blown up on camera. We as a species are in a very, very dark place. And that's partly why I wanted to do the humour with the darkness this evening, because it's very challenging and difficult to palate. We are in a very dark place. We can't look to our political leaders because they are leading us into the darkness. They don't care about me and you. The forces of darkness are beginning to rule. Do I have any answers? No, of course not. Because I will say this. We have a lot of critical thinkers on these lives. And so long as this community stays together, we can work it out together. So long as we have the information, and I have people emailing me in the background, and I always welcome those emails. Some of them are incredible. They're wonderful people who give me great insight. But they ask of nothing. In fact, they're working tirelessly in the background just to make sure that we are aware and awake. And we can do this together. They didn't get us with a jibber jabber. We know the wars are bankers' wars. We know what's going on in Ukraine. We know what's going on in Gaza. We know the reasons why. We know the energy in Siberia and in the Black Sea and in the East Mediterranean Sea. We know what they're after. We know what they're doing. We know what minerals they're after and where in Ukraine. And the loans are going from America into Ukraine, and Ukraine's going to have to start to pay them back. With what, I don't know. But all of this stuff, people tend to go, oh, I'm bored with that, Adrian. I'm bored with that. You can't be, because the answers are in the detail. And it's by having these lives twice a week at 8 o'clock on a Sunday and a Wednesday, we are able to just extract the information that we need. And even if we don't have the answer, at least we have the information. And at some point, we'll be able to deal with things that are going to come our way. Yeah, Taiwan. China wants Taiwan. They're not going to sit back. My name's Adrian Allen. Don't forget to smash the likes on your way out, please. I'd like all the prayer books back. I hope you haven't vandalised them with pen and markers, you wrong uns. I do hope you enjoyed the altar wine. It's always free on a Sunday, because it's God's day, really. I am the Irreverend Reverend. Enjoy the Battenberg when you can get some. Don't forget to make sure that you are subscribed, because there's some very important videos coming over the next few days. And if you're subscribed, you'll know exactly what the channel's up to. We have July 4th and the 100th live coming up. I want you to know about the details that's coming. I have some videos that I'm working on over this weekend that will drop over the next few days. Make sure that you are subscribed, because they are very important videos. But most of all, I really appreciate your indulgence every Sunday and Wednesday at 8. Stay well, be healthy. And I shall see you Wednesday, 8 p.m, with yet another serving of ye old Battenberg and a brand new sermon. Be well. See you soon.